Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Jor, how are you today? And how's everybody today?
Are we? Oh, we are live. How come the intro didn't work?
It worked on my end.
Really?
I probably hit the wrong button. Who knows?
I was sitting
I'm
here
a-
waiting for it. I didn't hear any because it usually has like a thing on it. Hold on.
I hit the mute button on my microphone, or it wouldn't double play back. I don't know. Anyways, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good, man. Good.
How about you? How about yourself?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Time is freaking flying by, man. It is like the summer's pretty much over now. Sad, man.
Sad, capitalized with an exclamation mark. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. And for you, I mean, you get to like freaking 12 months of summer there pretty much.
Yeah, it's sad because the kids are going to be back in school, and it's a pain in the ass because of the buses and stuff. But it's
Yeah.
it's good for me because it's so fucking hot, man.
Yeah, I
You know.
know. You almost probably hope summer goes. Okay, hold on. I'm just watching it. Oh, no, it did work. I wonder why it didn't show up on my end. My computer's been acting really strange though today, but you got it to work.
Okay, yeah, it worked on my end.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's good, man. So what are we chatting about today? We're doing it's Monday today. Hey, why are we doing a BTC Mastermind today?
That is a great question, sir. Well, what we decided to do, guys, for those of you out there watching the replay, is it's 7 of us on this show. You guys know the 7. And it's hard for us to all get together on one show. So we decided to go live 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific, every day, Monday through Thursday. And just so we can mix it up and give you guys more time with us, and also more time with the boys coming in and out, because it's hard to get all 7 of us on here. And also, we're going to take the channel a little bit more serious and not just once a week and just throw it away. But we're going to be more structured here. We're going to go for 1 hour. And because, everybody else has got their shows and you guys got stuff to do too. So that's why we decided to do that. Then Friday, there's a special day on Friday too. Not for our show, but Jor and 3/7 of the BTC Mastermind has a show there. So we're going to go from there.
Yeah, so summer's just about done. And I think that we as Bitcoiners, we kind of get used to summer's being off a little bit slower, kind of like a lull. This one definitely hasn't been, though. There's been a lot of stuff going on. A lot of animosity, I would say, between Bitcoiners, man. Even that video you shared of Forrest talking very level-headed, very, not neutral, but pretty good explanation of why BIP 110 failed. And there's still just people. I looked at the comment section this morning, and it's just like people are still just losing their minds over it. And it's sad to see. It really is, because they're going to fork themselves off the network, it seems. And I don't know, man. I know that real life isn't reflective of what's in the YouTube comments and on Twitter, but there's a lot of people who are kind of going off the cliff of this thing. And it's sad to see. It really is. Because if there's one thing we need in Bitcoin right now, it's more Bitcoiners and not less.
Yeah. And you called it correctly before this started. You said we're probably going to lose a lot of Bitcoiners, and we may do a hard fork. And it's looking like we're going to do that. But we're going to get into that soon. I completely agree with what you said. Iman, how are you, sir? Good to see you, man. Philip, a pleasant Monday surprise. Yeah. Make sure you guys share the video and hit the like button, please. People still virtual signal. Yeah, exactly. Do me a favor, guys. We are getting very close to 1,000 subs. We got 909. So do me a favor and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so we can go ahead and get to 1,000. Damn, where's everybody at? LOL. Well, some days going to be 2 of us. Some days going to be 7. Some days going to be 5, 4. Letha, the icon. How are you, ma'am? Good to see you. But we're just going to get into a couple of topics today. And, me and Jor are hosting right now. But I want you guys to chime in as well on what we're going to talk about today. We have the summer almost over with. And you know how it is in the summer. Nobody gives a shit about finance and everything else. Everybody knows that. So the question is the bottom in? From 0 to 100, how confident are you guys and Jor that the bottom is in? Is it going to go longer? What's going on with the price? What do you guys think? What do you think, Jor?
I'd say 88 out of 100, which is actually pretty, even though that's, you know, it's my number there, but that is actually how I feel. I think that there's obviously still a chance that the exchange rate could fall forward. It'd be hard for me to believe a scenario comes up that's more damaging to Bitcoin than what we've gone through in the last month or two. And the price didn't flinch. And, you know, that is one thing that I've said, that I have been saying. And I know that people got the whole, you know, we're going back down. We're going to go through another bear. I was wrong about that. People were right about that happening, and fairly so. But I did say that usually when there's one thing I know about Bitcoin, which is that when everybody expects something to happen, whenever there's consensus that one thing is going to happen, always the exact opposite happens of that. And it happened even 7 short months ago, where everybody was calling for 250K, 300K Bitcoin. That was kind of like the consensus that was going to happen. I know that there was some people saying, no, you guys are crazy, it's not going to happen. But I think the majority of people were thinking that we had a long ways to go up still from where we topped at. And it didn't happen. The opposite happened. And I think that we could easily see people waiting for 50K, 40K October bottom. That's kind of been the consensus for the last couple of months, and it might just not come. And the unfortunate thing about that is that there's going to be a lot of capital and cash on the sidelines waiting for that to happen, waiting for that October bottom, and they're going to miss the train, and they're going to end up with much less sats than they would have had otherwise. So I think the smart people, though, have been kind of like DCAing into it since we reached like the 58K or 59K. They've been just slowly buying back in, which is the smart thing, I think. But for the people out there who are waiting for the bottom, I feel bad for them, because who knows? It could happen. So that's why I gave 88, because I'm not 100% sure. But I think the bottom's in. I think it was actually in February of 2026.
Yeah, I agree, except Matthew Cratter says there's going to be a big controversy coming up with a certain Bitcoiner. And once that controversy comes out, he says that the price is going to crash and everything is going to be bad. And I bring that up because, again, we're still fresh off the BIP 110 stuff. And I don't want to, I'm not trying to rub or smear anybody's name or nothing like that. Matthew Crater is obviously a big Bitcoiner in the space, and a lot of people follow him and everything else. And I just hope he's not leading people to the wrong well. That's all I'm going to say. Ledger was hacked. Was it really? It begins. I didn't know anything about that. We don't, outside of a black swan event, again, just like George said, nobody knows what the price is going to do. I remember, we talked about this last show, but last year, if somebody would have told me the price was going to be this 60 something, we were at 115, 118 or whatever we were, I would have thought they were crazy. But you never know. Again, in the summers here, nobody's buying, nobody's caring. Everybody's at the beach, everybody's chilling. But DCA is the best way. I tell people I don't really look at the price. The only reason we talk about it, because obviously we do the shows and we have to look at these things and figure out why it's this and why it's that. But at the end of the day, for you personally, it's just DCAing and keeping some cash on the side. Because if it does, quote unquote, go down, and again, going down is relative, I guess, going down to the price that it is now, keep some dry powder. Keep some dry powder and figure out where your quote unquote bottom is, because we never know what it is, because again, we never know what's going to happen. So how confident am I the bottom is in? And I want you guys to sound off. Gerard said 40%. I want you guys all give me a number, please, and thank you. I am 0 to 100. I'd say I'm about, because I'm always fucking wrong. I would say a high number, like 90 something, but I'm always wrong on that. So I'd say 65 to 70. That's what I'm going to say on that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and we'll go from there. Because again, nobody knows. You know what I mean?
I just don't think I just don't think that's worth the risk. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have to put yourself in when you're thinking through this stuff, you almost have to put yourself in the average person's shoes. And people kind of get hypothetical with everything. It's like, oh yeah, if it goes down to 40, I'm going to end up with way more sats. But nobody actually does the math on that, right? So let's say that somebody has $10,000 worth of dry powder or that they're waiting to put into Bitcoin. They're waiting for it to fall. Like actually do the math, go through the what am I looking for? Not an experiment here, but go through the process of like calculating if the price was at 64K versus 50K, whatever you think your bottom is, like in your head, and then buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin at each price and see what the difference is there. Because I think people would be really surprised to see that it's really not that much different to begin with. And so you're going to gain, maybe if this ends up becoming true that we do bottom in October, you might end up with a couple more sats, maybe 5 or 10% more than you would have otherwise. But the risk of Bitcoin going from 64 to 70 to 100 to 150, and you kind of sitting there waiting for it to drop back down, you're going to lose a lot more than you would have potentially gained with that. And so I mentioned it before, but I still think the play is like, just start DCing. And now, like, it's clear that nobody really knows what's going to happen, but I just can't see it going much lower, even if it does go lower from here. And so what are you gaining compared to what you could lose? I think that people actually have to go through that actual mathematical exercise of doing that versus just like, it sounds better in their head of buying it's, 50K versus 64K.
Yeah, I agree. And the key point is, what's the bottom in your head, right? Because it's again, personal finance is personal, right? So don't worry about what the pundits say and the experts. They don't know. They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Nobody does.
Nobody does. Anybody tell you they know the price, they don't. We're just guessing here, man. 80%. Greetings from, how are you? Switzerland? Okay. Buying 40K versus 60K won't make a difference really in 4 years. I agree with that. I agree. And also too, for you, those of you that just joined the show, Isaac asked, where's everyone else? Just y'all today. Yeah, we're going live Monday through Thursday now, same time as we do Tuesdays. And usually it'll probably be just me and Jor. It's definitely going to be me and Jor Monday through Thursday. And then whoever can pop in. Because again, we're going to take the channel more seriously. But also too, everybody can't show up on Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. So you're missing Rajat or Brandon sometimes, or Forrest or whoever, because they're very, very busy guys. So we're kind of like doing a 4-day plate so that we can get more people in here. It's all probabilities. Exactly, Philip. Exactly. So again, the bottom is your number, whatever that is. Just have some dry powder and be ready to buy. All right. So next,
always a good idea.
Yes. So this is something I don't want to talk about, but I do want to talk about kind of, and I'm kind of getting sick and tired of strategy a little bit. 30K. Okay, Iman. All right. Strategy's been selling. And you know what they did a couple of months ago? They sold a little bit, and and now they're selling, and they're kind of like backdooring it. They're not even saying we're selling. They're saying it like as a marketing tool. Oh, we're increasing our cash. Okay, that's fine, but you're increasing cash by getting rid of your Bitcoin, which again you told us to never sell. So my question to you guys and Jor is: strategy been selling? Does it matter to Bitcoin and to us?
I mean, if you're a MSTR shareholder, it probably matters to you. But as a Bitcoiner who's just, in it for the long term and keeping your sats in cold storage, and no, it doesn't matter at all. And, there's been a lot of discussion around Seyr saying never sell and then selling Bitcoin. I still don't know the reason why he did it, why they've been selling Bitcoin, because I don't really think that they need the cash, especially like their first sale was like 36 Bitcoin or something like that. Like, it was just kind of silly. But yeah, I agree with VHF. Paper Bitcoin doesn't matter at all. I think that, the thing that we can do about it, obviously we can't stop Seyr from buying or selling. They're a company. They can make their own decisions with it. And I think that there's a lot of people who, Bitcoin is for enemies, but unless it's somebody that they disagree with or that they don't like, then all of a sudden it's a bad thing. We got to fork Bitcoin because too many suits are buying Bitcoin here. It's too centralized. So, no, I think there's just a lot of misconceptions in Bitcoin right now. A lot of people's frustrations, I think. But at the same time, man, like, this is bear markets. People do dumb shit. People lose their minds. You know, Bitcoin isn't going to be a straight line upwards. Nobody ever promised it would be. And so I think them selling, them buying, it doesn't matter. I think that the one thing that we can do is just, you know, earn as much as you can. Like, you want to get as many sats as you can and get them into your own cold storage, off the exchanges, out of the stock market. And the more sats that we have in cold storage, the less ability they have to manipulate the price. So if you're worried about paper Bitcoin, you can't stop it from happening. The only thing that you can do is get your Bitcoin, your sats off of there so they have less to actually deal with. And I think that's going to be the game for the next couple of years here. I think the next couple of years are going to be a big factor in the direction and the future of Bitcoin, of who's getting into it, of how they're storing it, because this thing could, you know, slowly go off the rails here unless we're careful with it. I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree. And you said something very, very important there. The paper Bitcoin, you know, the quiet person in the world. What's up, Steven? Hey, I hope everyone is having an amazing day. We are, man. Good to see you, my friend. If for those of you that don't think that Bitcoin's price at 60, low 60, mid 60s is just organic, or if you think that's organic and you don't think that there's some paper Bitcoin laying around, I live in Las Vegas and I have a beachfront property to sell you. If you don't believe that, okay, or if you believe that. But here's the thing, right? Strategy selling, which, again, if somebody would have told me this last year, that would have sold over 1,000 Bitcoin, I would have said the price would have crashed a little bit. It didn't move, right? So that doesn't matter for the price action, because somebody said in the comments that, hey, when he sells, you know, if the price goes down, that's more for us. The price ain't going down. The big Satoshis, and I tell people all the time, we are at a point right now in the S curve that Satoshis are not, how can I say this without pissing anybody off? They're not, I know they're rare, okay, but they're not rare as far as we can't buy them, right? Yeah. We can buy as many as we want right now. So when people say, oh, that's more for us, we can buy. I mean, we can buy them anyways, right? The point is, for me personally, and like George said, we can't do anything about it when they buy it, right? There's nothing you can do about that. But the thing is, I much rather not having the big boys in control of it, because, again, my whole thing about strategy, and I don't think there's this, I'm not in it depends on what angle you're coming from. Some people think Michael Saylor is an evil man and, you know, strategies, this, that, and the third. Some people say, you know, the government's going to swoop in and take their Bitcoin. And that, I do give it that a probability. That may happen. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I don't put that at zero. But what concerns me is, again, where's the proof of reserves, man? Right? Well, you know, you are the biggest holder by far. There's not a country that has anywhere near you. And the country that you're in, the United States of America, you have almost 3 times as much of them, and you're not showing proof of reserves. So that's one of my main things with that. But again, does it matter to you personally as a Bitcoiner? Does it matter to you if they sell? Me personally, as a content creator, yeah, it matters to me because I talk about it. But does it matter to me if they sell, if they are what I think they are? And what I think strategy is, I think they're just a company that's trying to get as many Bitcoin as they can. I don't think they're an evil, you know, conglomerate like some of the BIP 110ers call it, because now they're calling Bitcoin Sailor coin now, like that's, you know, or whatever they're calling it. It's all about the narrative and the propaganda. It doesn't really matter to me short term, long term, or midterm. It just doesn't. And as the market's showing, even though they're the biggest Bitcoin sales, got the most Bitcoin, when they sold it, nothing happened, because what they do, I think what Michael Saylor did is he softened the sale, right? He sold the 36 at first, and then he came out with the propaganda. I'm not saying it in a bad way. Propaganda could be good and bad. And he says, well, I never told you not to sell your Bitcoin. And he went on this kind of like tour of just going out saying, I didn't tell you this, and then everybody's arguing about what he said and how he said it. And then once he sold it, it wasn't a surprise. Now, if he'd have came out and just sold 1,000 something without saying anything at all, then that would have been a big deal. So the way he did it, how he marketed it, in my personal opinion, is not that big of a deal. Bitcoin would have crashed 80% 4 years ago if the cold car would happen. Exactly, pleb. Think big Bitcoin. No TC. I think you're coming from. Yeah. So, any follow-ups on that, Jor?
Yeah, I mean, the whole suit coin, the Seyr coin. I don't know, man. Like me personally, I think that people kind of have this fantasy in their head that Bitcoin is just going to be owned by people like us, and we're going to be the ones who run the world now. Not going to be the case. Never was going to be the case. Bitcoin never would have succeeded if that was the case. And I know that people hate hearing that because it is. You know, it's one of those things where Bitcoin feels like it's the people's money, and it really is. And I don't think people should be discouraged by what's happening here. But for me, if I'm looking at things right now and I'm calling one thing suit coin, and you have Michael Saylor, you have Larry Fink, you have the suits of the world who are interested in Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin versus not. I would much rather be on that team. And again, people don't like hearing that. You can call me a suit, you can call me a Saylor simp, whatever you want to call me. I don't care. I know how the world works. I'm realistic enough to know that if that wasn't happening, Bitcoin 64 would probably be the maximum that it ever goes for. Because, I mean, people have to think about this realistically. Like, let's just say that it was me and you and a couple people in the chat and our friends using Bitcoin. Okay, great. We have a way to pay each other in a private way and buy and sell things without the government knowing or whoever knowing about it. Great. But it's not going to be adopted by everybody because it's just going to stay a small thing. And part of Bitcoin, and not only just like the adoption price going up, but also for the miners. Like the way that Bitcoin works is that every time there's a new epoch, so we're in epoch 5 right now, as it shows on the screen here, every epoch, that subsidy, which is the incentives for miners to continue to secure the network, that goes down. And so if the price doesn't go up, if there isn't this sort of adoption, we're going to start losing miners and the hash rate is going to start going down. And all of a sudden, Bitcoin is going to become less secure than it was. And that's a problem. And then it's like a spiral of, okay, well, the price isn't going up. So the miners are making less. So they're powering down. So the hash rate's going down. So people are losing faith in the system. And it's just, or the network, I should say. And it's just a spiral that goes down instead of a spiral that goes up. It's never going to be a straight line or flat line or anything ever. That's just not how Bitcoin works. It's not how it was designed. It has to go up. And so if you don't have this kind of adoption, if you don't have people like Michael Saylor and Larry Fink wanting to buy Bitcoin, we're screwed. We're screwed. So it's like, to me, it had to happen this way. I know people don't like hearing it, but it had to happen this way. And just because Saylor and Fink are buying Bitcoin and buying a lot of Bitcoin, that still doesn't give them any advantage in terms of having a say in Bitcoin or changing Bitcoin. And also their incentives now are for Bitcoin to succeed. So if you're holding Bitcoin, you're going to be part of this win. That's what Saylor always said. All you got to do is, it's unlike anything else. The only thing you got to do is just play, get in the game, then you're going to win, right? Like that's the whole thing here. So it's like, again, do I prefer it to be this way? No, but am I realistic enough to know that this is literally the only way that it does happen? Yes.
Agreed. And I actually do prefer it to be this way because it's the only way, right? It is the only way. If we were just sitting here as, I don't know, cyberpunks and libertarians, which again, no disrespect to the libertarians, but libertarians don't get anything done. Okay. They're kind of like, I don't want to say fence sitters, but they're always pissed off about something, always mad. We got to look for solutions, right? Not bitching and crying about problems. Not saying you personally, if you're a libertarian, but at the end of the day, I don't try to change the world. I try to live in the world that I live in and be realistic about the real world that we live in. And then say, okay, well, let's try to make some little bit adjustments, but actually live in the real world, not in some fantasy reality like some of these people on the other side of the aisle in politics, right? But here's the thing. The libertarian movement, the cyberpunk movement back in the day, that they thought Bitcoin was going to be a certain way, it's just not that way anymore, guys. Okay? If you wanted global adoption, just like George said, global adoption, again, Bitcoin cannot be controlled despite what the guys on the other side are saying to us, because again, they're going to try to sell you guys, and I know some of you guys are in here that, again, I understand what you want. You want decentralization. We are decentralized. Do I like the fact that we have 5 big miners controlling a big portion of the hash rate? No, I do not. Do I think we should decentralize better? Yes. Minings. That's why, again, if you don't have your own miner, then you don't speak up. I hear people that don't even have it running a node talking about either side of the BIP 110 or whatever. And I'm like, well, you don't even have a node, dude. You gotta do, do something. So anyways, the way the world works now, it's very much centralized on the federal level, obviously, and state level. It's different. Some states are going to buy Bitcoin, some are not. But at the end of the day, as long as you buy some Bitcoin, and like George said, and you're in the game, then that's how you win. You can't worry about what everybody else is doing, but you can't expect the world not to buy it. Bitcoin is money. That's like saying, well, I got a bunch of, I love cash and I hoard cash, but I don't want the drug dealers to have the cash. Well, they're going to have the cash. The good guys are going to have the cash. The bad guys are going to have the cash. And at the end of the day, we are a small, minute minority of the people on the planet that have it. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. We're either fucking geniuses that are way ahead, or we're fucking idiots. That's just the way it, I mean, and again, there is no in between on that, by the way, guys. Okay? Either you are a fucking moron that if this thing fails, you spent 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes 12 years on something that wasn't shit. Or you put all your life energy into something that you see this perfect system here. Epoch 19, Epoch 20, 33 epochs. It halves every 4 years. Nothing else has that, right? You know what the percentage of the money supply you own. You don't think the big boys are going to buy this? Is that what you guys really think? So again, I know we wanted to be like a libertarian and sneak in from the back, but with something as big as Bitcoin, that'll never happen. What do you guys think? People are too coming. Yes. Does Michael Saylor have a node? That's a good question. I don't know. Jerry, aren't you upset you got out of silver when it's outperformed Bitcoin the past couple of years? No, I'm not, Alan. No, I'm not. I could tell you that I am, but and that's a good question, Alan. I don't know if you're a bot or if you're trolling me. Probably both. But I'm going to address that because I've had a lot of people talk to me about that. Raise your hand in the chat if you guys still have precious metals. I need to do an IQ test here. Do you really, Jor? Tell me about that.
I mean, I love silver. I don't really have many plans for it in the future. I do think that at some point it's going to be pretty valuable, and it's something that I will sell ahead of my Bitcoin. Like I don't really know how to explain it. I mean, I got to Bitcoin through gold and silver myself. That's what kind of led me here. So that's where I was originally. I didn't have like a big attachment to it though. Like I wasn't somebody who spent 15 or 20 years waiting for the big breakout from gold and silver and kind of, having to repeat it to my friends and family. Hey, fiat's collapsing, get some gold, get some silver. I was never like that invested in it. As soon as I saw that as soon as I saw how fake fiat was, I just needed to do something like that day. And at that point, I knew nothing about Bitcoin. I knew nothing about crypto. I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to go into eBay or I'm going to go onto these these bullion sites. I'm going to buy some. And I did. And so I parted with a lot of it already. But the problem with it, which is kind of like a double-edged sword now to me, is that when the silver that I did sell, I took like a pretty big hit on it in terms of like, I think I had to pay 30% below spot because they have to melt it down and they sell it to the mint from there. So I lost like 30% of any gain that I had just to the dealer that I sold it to. And I had to drive there myself. I had to verify, or, he looked through it all and gave me some cash for it. I had to KYC myself when I did it. I had to give him my ID to get the cash. I just didn't like the process. So it's like, to me, why would I sell it? I might as well just hold on to it, because I do think that silver is actually like it's got different characteristics to me, and I don't really know how to explain it. It's just it aligns with me in a way, and I like holding it. I do believe that it has certain properties that are for healing, for like, it's used in medicine and stuff. It's got good, it's just got good vibes to me. So will I probably sell it for Bitcoin? No. It's just, it's not going to change my Bitcoin stack too much either way. So I'm just like, why go through the process of selling it, taking a big hit? I like it. I like having it around here. And if push ever came to shove and Bitcoin did ever fail, at least I have like a very small hedge, I guess, in that way. So that's kind of my logic around it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I had almost my entire net worth in the precious metals, and then mostly I started really buying a lot of silver. The reason I don't have it now is just I just didn't feel comfortable. Again, I'm kind of like a maxi, if you will, right? When I have something, I have a maxi.
Yeah.
Meaning when I have something, I get a lot of it, right? So silver it takes, it's $65 an ounce. Back when I was, having it was in the 20s and 30s, and you had to have if you had 100,000 worth of silver, that's a lot of silver, right? So, whatever it is, and because it's so heavy and cumbersome, it's like, because somebody said here, it's sitting comfy in my vault. Really, I'm not comfortable with that, because again, it's a physical item that they can take from you.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you're comfortable with, you're comfortable with that. That's fine. But again, if you had to move or do something or go somewhere, it's going to be hard for you to do that. But it's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. Silver anti-break. Yeah. And listen, silver is, to me, is the best precious metal by far. It's real money. It's God's money. It's got over 10,000 usages. And it's a good way, in my personal opinion, it's a good way to get you into Bitcoin, to be honest with you. I'm just saying, if I don't knock anybody that has silver and gold, but I do knock someone that understands Bitcoin, that really understands Bitcoin, and has a quote unquote diversified portfolio. And again, either I'm an idiot, what I'm getting ready to say right now, or I'm a genius. Okay. But at the end of the day, if you know that you have the best, there's one thing that's the best. Why would you diversify in anything else? That's how I looked at it. And again, I was invested deeply, not just money wise, but my life and my identity. I had a whole channel based on gold and silver. So that was a very humbling experience to make all those videos every single day and say, hey, I was wrong. When I went to the same coin shop that I was making videos of buying, I turned around and sold all my stuff and said, I guess I was wrong. That was not easy to do.
No,
but at the end of the
I don't know if that's how you should look at it, though, because you were still right about fiat. Right?
Yeah, but I had Bitcoin too. Do you understand? What I'm saying is the transition. I was saying in my videos, you need both. You need both. They're like the Army and the Navy, gold and silver and Bitcoin. They work. And after a while, I'm like, no, I had to say, no, this is not it. If I needed to go to Thailand or something happened, I can't take it with me.
Yeah. That's
I like what Rajat is also doing. Yeah.
I'm thinking Philip means like just Bitcoin and cash, what Rajat is doing. And I mean, I should have clarified this too, because like I would say my silver stack is 1% of my portfolio. Like that's what I mean. Like even if I traded my silver for Bitcoin today, it wouldn't really do much for me. So, and I'm a collector too. And I saw the barbell strategy there. I love that too. That's kind of, I don't even consider like silver part of my portfolio. Even it's just kind of something. I'm a collector, right? I've always been a collector. I used to collect hockey cards. I had Pokemon cards. I saw that Pokemon cards have actually outperformed Bitcoin significantly over these last 6 months. But I've always been a collector, man. And so that's why for me, the silver that I kept, I kind of got rid of all my silver coins that were very generic, like you know, a Canadian maple leaf that was just like from 2022 or something like that. I kept the ones that are like have some sort of meaning to me. So they're like whether it's like a 1988 coin or like a 1963, or you know, I have like a Coors Light one that was a silver bar with a Coors Light thing in it. Toronto Blue Jays one. So I kept all the ones that I actually like as a collector, that are kind of like not rare, but there's not a mass amount of them made. They have a little bit more meaning to me. And you know, if I got one for a gift or something like that. So that's really the silver that I have left is all, it's not like bars or anything that are just like there as an investment. It's like collector stuff.
Yeah, I'm a collector too. And I plan on, I actually made a video probably about 2-3 years ago saying that what my plan is to get back my silver, because I want to buy 10,000 ounces of silver as a collection, and just crazy, nice collectible pieces that I actually just absolutely loved or couldn't afford when I was just a regular stacker. But all 10,000 ounces, every single ounce is going to mean the world to me, right? Mm-hmm. And the number that I put on it, sats, it's a sats per ounce ratio I had, is just going to be absolutely insane. What's up, Sin Diesel? Good to see you, my friend. Nice. I have a 1964 Silver Kennedy half down. Nice, man.
What are you going to do with that silver, though?
I am going to put it in the basement, and I am going to pass it down to my kids and grandkids. And just honestly, in my lifetime, I'm going to teach them about it. And you know, because if we're geniuses, we'll be very, very rich with Bitcoin. And I'm going to say, look, this is not for selling. This is your grandpa's stuff, your great grandpa's stuff. And it means something. Everything, like, you know, it'll be a, you know, silver piece of the Constitution of the United States of America, or, you know, things that really mean something, you know, to the country and to freedom and stuff like that. So it ain't about the money, bro. It's about the it's about the collectible. That's what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the same kind of stuff too. Like, obviously, we're both going to be giving some Bitcoin down to our kids and grandkids, but I think there's things where I would disagree with that, for me anyways, because like we talked about Pokemon cards, we've talked about silver, like these are collectibles, they're stores of value. That's how people see them. And to me, I think that there's different ways to store value. And I know that this won't mean anything to you, but there's certain like collectible golf clubs even, and putters, like Scotty Cameron or something, where you can buy them. They only make so many of them every year, and they have historically gone up significantly in value, especially like the collector ones. And the reason why I like that as opposed to something like a bar of silver is because you can actually do something with it. Like, it has some utility, you know what I mean? So like, that's kind of what I'll probably lean towards in the future once, you know, we get Bitcoin rich here, is stores of value that also have utility. Because silver bars, they just kind of sit there. Even if, you know, you go in and look at them, you can touch them, it's kind of cool. But like, I'm gonna probably get into stores of value, utility, so you get some use out of them or something at least.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm just I'm a silver addict.
Yeah.
Recovering one. So yeah, I'm all for the collectibles. Like, when I was a kid, I used to collect freaking baseball cards, basketball cards, you know, all that stuff, man. So I completely agree with you, man.
Or like one thing for me, have you ever watched the show, what the hell is it called? Animal Kingdom. With the brothers, they just do crime. That's like their job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the thing that I loved most about that show is that they always had nice vehicles, and they weren't like brand new, like the new trucks. They're all made of plastic and shit like that. And, you know, $150,000 for a truck these days, and it's made out of plastic. But like the vehicles that they had on that show, like Darren had like the nice Jeep. Craig had an older truck, I think. He also had some bikes. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I want, is like the old, nice stuff back when they were like well made. and like collector's items. Like that's what I could see myself getting into, and not like a whole empty garage full of them, but like things that I would actually drive. You know what I mean? Like an old 1975 Ford truck that's all fixed up and like got original things on it. Like that's interesting to me. I like that kind of stuff. It just seems like it'd be more enjoyable to me. And I think that, you know, as Bitcoiners here are thinking about their future and what they're going to be doing with their Bitcoin, just have these conversations with yourself and these thoughts, I guess, with yourself of like, what are you going to do with it? Because you don't want to just keep it there in your cold storage forever. You want to actually enjoy it and do stuff with it. And that's why I like the idea of like utility there. Yeah, old cars with no computer chips. That's another part of it too.
Completely agree. Completely agree. All right, guys. Now here's another question I got for you guys. This is something I think about a lot. If we're right and we're geniuses, I always make a joke and say, because I live in Las Vegas and I kind of retire from it, but I did a lot of delivering pizzas and doing DoorDashes and stuff. You know what I'm thinking about when I say that, George. And I have drove when I'm telling you, I have met so many. And thank you, Sin Diesel, for sharing the stream on Nostr. I appreciate that on Primal. I have seen some houses, man. Okay, up on the hill. But I say Bitcoiners, if we're right, we're going to be living up on a hill, up on a hill, up on a hill, right? So my question to you guys and to Jor, and not like a fake one where we draw pictures. I'm talking about a real one. Are we going to need Bitcoin citadels in the future? And what I specifically mean by this is, are Bitcoiners going to have to isolate themselves from the regular quote unquote normies and population? What do you guys think about that?
Depends. I think it depends where you live and how many people you've told about Bitcoin.
Well, what about for idiots like us? We're shout out to the troll, yeah.
But I think also, and this is, you know, we've had a couple weeks now with the cold card hack, and people really, you know, I think that people realize that they didn't know as much as they thought they did about Bitcoin security and private keys and passphrases and how important it is to have this stuff set up properly. But I do think that at some point in the future, like it's not even going to make sense to try and steal Bitcoin. So in that sense, like, yeah, for the next couple of years and beyond that, maybe even a couple decades, we're going to go through some difficult times where there's going to be break-ins. I'm actually more worried about people getting like hacked, you know, online digitally versus getting wrench attacked, because there's a lot of friction to wrench attack someone, right? Like you don't know if the Bitcoin's there for sure. You got to go to their house. You got to get your weapons. You got to get your team assembled. You got to, you know, go in at the right time and figure out where everything is. There's a lot of friction there. I do think that there's going to be a lot of attacks, but they're going to be more like social engineering, hacking, using AI to do it in the next couple of years. But at some point, it's not going to make any sense to try to steal Bitcoin from somebody. You know what I mean? Like I'm already thinking about this today. I had a conversation with a guy this morning, and we were talking about multi-sigs, and he already had a multi-sig. He's doing something a little bit different now, including like the Citadel Vault and how it's going to work into that setup. But like, you could have like a 10 of 20 multi-sig. If you have something to store it all properly that's encrypted and offline and all these things, you could have like a 10 of 20. And then somebody comes to your house and it's like, what are you going to do? You know, how are we going to get 20 keys here? You just won't be able to. So the cool thing about Bitcoin, a lot of people think it's like one of Bitcoin's biggest drawbacks is the sense that you can't touch it. But that's also like its greatest superpower too, is that you can't touch it. Because if you can't touch it, you can't see it, you can't really steal it by just going and knocking on someone's door and holding a gun to their head. There's ways that you can do this and set it up properly where it just won't make any sense to try to steal somebody's Bitcoin. So for citadels, in terms of like, you know, wanting to protect and worry about people breaking in, I don't think that'll be the thing. But I do think that over time, the internet's going to come to life, and we're going to find people who have been talking for the last 10 years about building something like this. Like they'll just move to the same town and they'll have a lot of buying power. And maybe, you know, I've seen it happen around here. The Hells Angels have just been buying towns and just kind of taking over it, supporting the businesses, running the businesses. Obviously, they have some nefarious things going through there, but I could see something like that happening where you just get together with the people that are, aligned with you.
Agreed. So when I asked this question, what my mindset was when I asked, are we going to need Bitcoin citadels in the future? This is obviously for quote unquote early adopters, and there's levels to it and there's layers to early, right? I would say now, obviously, when us, and again, we are a small, minute minority of a minute minority of the majority, right? We're so small of people that actually understand Bitcoin, have it in cold storage. Actually, when the cold card hit, how many people actually cared about that? That's the people that I'm talking about. Okay. Because that, and that was a very small percentage of people, right? So, us, if you got in within the last, we can do it in waves, right? We can do it in epoch waves. So, if you got in, epoch 1, epoch 2, you're extremely early. If you got an epoch 3, you're early. Epoch 4, you're a certain amount of early, whatever you want to call it. I got an epoch 4. You got an epoch 4 too, right?
That would have been 2020 to 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I started taking it seriously anyways. I had a little bit before that, but it was when I became a Bitcoiner in epoch 4.
Yeah. I got in a year into epoch 4. So I'm a class of 2021. So, and me and you are on the same page with this, Jor. I think everybody's early, 1 million a coin and less. Right? But there's levels to each one of them. And I think personally, not from a security standpoint, because you answered that question already, but from a mindset and from a comfortability standpoint, I think there will be some Bitcoin citadels, especially for the people that are in epoch 1 and 2. Because again, there's layers to epoch 1 and 2, the epoch 3 and 4. I would say 30 to 40% of the Bitcoiners that are in Bitcoin early, again, 1 million and lower, are going to do citadels. Why? Because I think just the way we live and the way we think and the way we do things is just different than everybody else, right? When you're a Bitcoiner and you're an early Bitcoiner and you have a lot of Bitcoin, I think me personally, I'm already thinking this. I'm going to be so comfortable because again, what do we think about? What do we want? We want a big house, not a big house. We want some land. We want solid furniture and land. We want solid cars. We want real shit. We don't want to be around a bunch of fake shit. That's the point. It ain't just about the material stuff. It's about the people too. Now, again, this is going to be kind of a little different now because of what's been going on with the BIP 110. But for the most part, Bitcoiners are very level-headed. I know. For the most part, Bitcoiners are very level-headed, not delusional. Do I say main chain Bitcoin? I don't know. And we just want to be around people that are just common sense people and want to not live off the land, but not have a bunch of fake stuff, fake people, and believe in the nonsense that's out there, that are awake and understand that, hey, the way people lived 100 years ago, plus the technology we have now, is the way to live. Eating real food, not McDonald's. We don't want to live anywhere near a McDonald's. When we cook our burger, we want real meat, real cows, real pork, real everything. So again, I think there is going to be a percentage, and I do believe people in Bitcoin, the earlier adopters, are going to be definitely going to be needing some citadels. You want to follow up on that?
I mean, it also kind of depends on how you define citadel. Like if that's kind of like what, loosely, I guess, like I would say that I have a Bitcoin citadel now because, there's enough things here for me to, survive. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I still stuff I want to do here. There's a lot that I want to add to it still, but at least I have like the start of it. And I was watching. It's interesting to me, and I don't know how many people here would kind of understand what I'm saying here, if you haven't spent some time out in the country by yourself living. But we were watching Ted Lasso the other day. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, the new season of Ted Lasso. And it showed his house in like a suburban neighborhood. And it's just like, for me, I lived there before. And that was like the point here is like, I said, I can't believe people live that close to each other. And Bridge was like, what do you mean? Like you lived in a city for 15 years. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know any different. Like I didn't know how crazy that was. And it's just like, now that I've done this for, I'm been here for more than 4 years. So more than a full Bitcoin epoch. And it's just like, I could never do that again. Even if I did live in a city or near a city, I would still have enough room, like acres, where my closest neighbor was. Like, I think it's important to know your neighbors, to have a good community and all that kind of stuff. But like, to me, it makes no sense to me that people live that close to each other in a house that looks exactly like the one beside it. It's just, we've normalized that, and it's not a normal thing.
I completely agree, man. It's the same thing with the 15-minute city mentality and just living on top of each other. And again, even if you own a home and you're not living in the city and you're living in the suburbs, you're still packed in there like freaking, you don't have a lot of room. I grew up in the suburbs, and the way I grew up, I lived in a street that had a cul-de-sac on it.
Mm-hmm.
And on our street, we had about 100 houses, and even though we had our own little plot of land, sometimes, I just wanted to walk down the street. Right. And me personally, I'm one of those people that I'm kind of a standout. We all are as Bitcoiners, but I just want to walk down the street and just chill for a minute. I can never do it because one of my, hey, what's up, Jay? I'm like, damn. And I'm a friendly guy. I don't mind saying, but sometimes literally I had to wait till it got dark because I blend in a little bit. I had to wait till it got dark to go take a walk. Yeah. Open your eyes, Jay. To make sure I could walk to be by yourself. Right. So again, back to the Bitcoin Citadel. And again, I envy you, Jor, because even now I'm just like, living in Vegas, and I live in a pretty decent neighborhood, but there's still a bunch of idiots around me.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like that again, the fake stuff, the idiots, you just don't want to be around a bunch of stupid people. That's good.
I mean, even if they weren't idiots though, too, like, I just don't think that you should be that close to people living. It doesn't make any sense to me. So there's like the intro of Weeds Little Boxes. That's literally what it looks like. And that's, the further you get away from that whole life. And White's got a good point here. To be fair, it ain't so bad being able to walk to grocery store, restaurants, parks. 100%. I would say the main thing there would be grocery stores and things that you might like needs for supplies and food and stuff like that. Like, it is much different. It probably took me at least a year to really understand that concept, because when you're in a city and you need something, you can drive like maximum of 5 minutes and you can have whatever you need, snap of your fingers. Here it's like there's some things that are unavailable to me for like 3.5 hours on the road. So you have to almost figure out like what it is that you need, like your core essentials almost, and buy like 2 or 3 of those. And it's not just like a couple extra pizzas in the freezer. It's like an extra toothbrush, an extra fan, like an extra coffee maker. Like, you need basically 2 or 3 of everything, unless you're okay with being without for a couple of days or a couple of weeks even. So I'm still kind of going through it in terms of like learning the things that I need. I'm not fully equipped here as much as I want to be, but you also can't really expect to do that. So for the people listening to this, I think this is a goal for a lot of people, is to get out of the cities, get an acreage, kind of start building your own citadel. You just have to understand that you're going to learn a lot. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. There's going to be a lot of uncomfort, but you're not going to do everything all at once. It's a process, and you're not going to know what that process is until you actually learn the hard way. And it's funny that we're talking about this now. It's the same kind of shit in Bitcoin. So you can talk about security till you're blue in the face, but until you actually see something and realize why that is important, then you don't make any adjustments. You don't make any changes. So, it's one thing to read it in a book or a blog or something, but then when you actually run out of coffee one day and you're like, shit, I'm never going to let this happen again. Then you buy a couple more bags of coffee or whatever it is. But it's really trial by fire, where you just go in with it and you make adjustments as necessary.
Agreed. And again, when you're looking at these epochs, I used to be this is what I'm going to get done this year, right? Since I've been in Bitcoin, guys, I don't think in years anymore. I literally think in epochs now. Literally.
And it's life changing.
It is life changing. And even then I'm like, man, that's still kind of short term. Right? But think about where you were at in epoch 3, and like I think about my life, even though when I was in Bitcoin. Think about your whole life, right? Things don't happen overnight. You got to gradually and slowly. I think Kobe Bryant said this. He says, just live in your box, right? Do what you do best. And he says, just make sure that you do something every single day. And before you go to bed and you write down all the stuff that you had to do. Did you get a little bit better? AKA, did you get a little bit closer to the thing that you wanted? Because it's not going to happen overnight. When you see somebody that is in the gym that's got a bunch of big muscles, how many reps and sets did that man have to do? Right. So if you want to get to a citadel or get out of the city like Jor has, that takes a while. And again, even Jor, he's out. He's been there for over an epoch. And he's still building on what he's doing. And it's never going to stop for the rest of your life. So just make sure you're always building. You're getting better every day. And you think long term. And speaking of building every day, we're trying to build here. Trying to get to 1,000 a little faster than slower. And we'd appreciate you guys if you'd help us, because we do that. We will become YouTube partners. And we'll be a little bit more serious as well. So we thank you so much. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a show. So that's all we got today. We're going to go an hour a day. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Tuesday is the main day where most of us will be here tomorrow. And we should have a great show for you guys. Any last words for you, Jor?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to piggyback off what you're saying there in terms of like setting goals. Still incredibly important. I think that I used to work, you talk about like going to the gym and stuff. I think that most people can relate to that. They've probably been through at least 1 or 2 times in their life where they had some sort of goal, whether it was to lose weight or gain weight. And I think that we really overestimate how long that takes. And then when you don't see results, you start getting hard on yourself. You start questioning, hey, is it even worth me showing up? And then you just don't show up anymore. So I think that the last goal that I set, which I've never done before, it's always been like January 1st, I'll set a goal for December 31st. And I never got it. I never got it. And it's very frustrating. It takes a toll on you because you're just used to failing, I guess you'd say. And it's like, okay, well, why isn't this working? What am I need? And then you just keep changing things and altering things. And then you start going even further back because now you're off path. But if you give yourself like half an epoch or a full epoch, man, you can actually do some damage. And then you're a little bit easier on yourself if you miss a day or two, because over a long term, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and just keeping the process, understand that it is a very long thing, and just committing to it. And I'll tell you, like the last year, even though I didn't have a goal for a year, I've grown more than I ever have before, given myself more leeway, being more forgiving with myself. But also, the way that I've been doing this is I've actually done it for 7 weeks in a row now. I hit my target of what I wanted to do in terms of my personal workout, and I've never done that before. I'm usually like, oh, I get a couple. Oh, I can take a week off now. Couple more. Oh, I can take a week off now. But when you give yourself more time, you actually just commit to it, and then things change. So yeah, I mean, that's a really good advice of thinking in epochs. And yeah, the other thing I'd say is that Forrest, which is one of our buddies on the mastermind here, he's doing a live stream starting right now, I believe. So maybe we could raid his live stream. And make sure when you arrive at Forrest's live stream, make sure you say you just came from the BTC mastermind. Say it was a raid, because we can't officially do it on YouTube, but we can do it.
Perfect. That's a perfect segue. And make sure you guys subscribe to Jor on his channel, Jor 88 Sats Radio. He does a daily live stream every single day.
Did
Did? Oh. Is there an announcement? What?
Yeah, today was my last live stream on the 88 Sats channel. Well, during that usual time. So I've been telling you about my new channel here. I've mentioned it a couple times, but it's live as of today. So I'm going to be doing my live streams at the same time. My 88 Sats channel is going to be 100% Bitcoin stuff now. Like on my streams and stuff, I talk about a lot of different things. And so I'm just kind of keep it very Bitcoin focused on 88 Sats. And then this new channel that I just shared with you in the private chat there, it's called Happy Sats. So that's where we're going to be doing the live streams every day. We're going to talk about more like not so much the technical side or like the security stuff, but like how to get more sats and how to be happy about doing it and looking at taking a different approach and mindset to money overall. And so that's going to be the new streams there on Happy Sats.
Wow, that's news to me. Here it is right here, guys. Make sure to check that out. There's a link to that. Make sure you subscribe to that. Wow. Okay. And make sure you guys go over to Rajat's live stream. Also, yeah.
Oh, Rajat's doing one too.
Okay. Also, too, guys, my name is Jerry Loves Freedom. I have a show called Bitcoin Numbers and News I do Monday through Friday. I give away free sats. So if you want some free sats, head on over there after Rajat, because I'm going to do that after Rajat and Forrest, and we'll head over there. All right.
What's your schedule like, Jerry? Now you're still going to be doing your Bitcoin show every day?
Yeah, I'm still going to do BNN every day after this show is over with, depending on what time and stuff. But come on in, and I do a Wheel of Satoshi every day where I spin a wheel and I give away free sets. All right. So thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific. All right.
Yep. And we should have the whole crew here tomorrow, right? Well,
as many as we can. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.